Scott, you described a really interesting arc so far in doing fieldwork in China, from an age of curiosity in the 1980s to an age of Chinese learning from Western scholars in the 1990s to true collaboration in the noughts. When we turn to the 2010s, the last decade, continued growth and expansion, or a different trajectory?
I call it the decade of the challenges. Now, and I think in some sense, I'm a little biased here because I work on the rural economy. My goal is to really understand poverty alleviation and then the role of the rural economy in the economic development of China. And so for 2 decades, in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, I was studying agriculture. And it's in late noughts that I start to become interested in human capital. Watch our CSI feature number 2 about my work on human capital. But I don't want to go into that right now. But so we're doing all this work now, and suddenly, as we move into the 2010s, by 2014, 15, things start to become challenged. Okay, and if we're going back to areas that we worked in, we know the local government, and I'm working with the local partners. So one of my students is a PhD from Stanford, is now working at Tsinghua. One of my students is working at Peking University. They go back to their hometown. They know the leaders. They can work there. We have no problem. But if you try to go into a new area, in a new field, there starts to be this skepticism. Who are you trying to trick? What's your real motive? Why are you doing this? No, you can't come here. And it's out of half a fear of what you're going to do, and just half of this reticence that local leaders, 20 years ago, local leaders were basically rewarded for doing very interesting, new, innovative things. But you see this really changing, at that time. The other thing is, as American U.S. China relations start to deteriorate, this is my big joke that I always tell people, but it's how it's true. I used to get in taxis and people say, "Where are you from?" I say, "From America." And they go, "Oh, America's great. We love America." This is, but by 2010, 2012, 2013, they start to say, "Why is America trying to hold back China, constrain China?" And so I'd say, "I'm from Canada." And they'd say, "Oh, we love Canada." And then Canada arrests Beng Wanzhou. Right? And then I say, "I'm from Ireland." And the very first taxi driver I say that to says, "I was in Dublin. Where did you live in Dublin?" So I stopped saying that, right? That sort of typifies the care that you take. Now, because I'm working with my former students, because we're working in local areas that we'd worked in for, we could keep going, but it became much, much more difficult. And data can't leave China. That we get visas for 3 months instead of 3 years. And so, we spend lots of time to just do the administration, and it gets harder and harder to do. To be honest, then, you even do a little yourself. We worked on village elections in the 2000s, and it was amazing work that we found out that, villagers vote their interests, and they really make a difference in villages of what village leaders do. You don't even want to study village elections in the 2010s, right? And so you start to shy away from some of these issues, and I think that there we go, right? It's that we're learning less and less, and it's harder and harder to get out there, especially if you're interested in other issues, outside the rural economy, and about factories and business practices and local governance. I know my colleagues that work in these areas, many of them found it impossible to do there by the late, before the COVID breakdown.